What if I told you that the key to transforming your health in 2025 doesn't require expensive supplements, complicated diets, or hours at the gym? What if the secret lies in understanding something so fundamental about human nature that most people completely overlook it? Today we're diving deep into discoveries that are revolutionizing how we think about wellness, drawing from cutting-edge neuroscience and ancient wisdom that's finally being validated by modern research. The reality is that we're living through a mental health crisis that most people don't even recognize. We're treating symptoms while completely ignoring the root causes. When someone feels chronically anxious, constantly worried about the future, or finds themselves slipping into depression, our first instinct is to medicate. While medications can provide temporary relief, they're like putting a band-aid on a broken pipe. You're not actually fixing the underlying problem. The truth is, there are three fundamental disconnections happening in modern society that are destroying our well-being from the inside out. First, we've lost our connection to ourselves. We've become so busy, so distracted, so caught up in external validation that we've forgotten how to sit quietly with our own thoughts. We've lost the ability to recognize what our bodies are telling us, what our emotions are trying to communicate. We're living as strangers in our own skin. Second, we've disconnected from each other in the most profound way. Despite being more connected than ever through technology, we're experiencing unprecedented levels of loneliness. We've replaced genuine human connection with digital interactions. We've forgotten how to truly listen, how to be present with another person without immediately judging or trying to fix them. We've lost the art of simply being together. Third, and perhaps most critically, we've severed our relationship with nature. We spend our days in artificial environments under artificial lights, breathing recycled air, completely cut off from the natural rhythms that our bodies evolved to follow. We've forgotten that we're not separate from nature. We are nature. Here's what's fascinating: neuroscience is now proving that when we address these three disconnections, our brains literally change. We're not talking about minor improvements. We're talking about measurable structural changes that can be seen on brain scans. The old belief that our brains were fixed after childhood has been completely shattered. Your brain has the ability to rewire itself at any age, and the triggers for this transformation are simpler than you might think. Let's start with something that might sound almost ridiculous, but has profound scientific backing. Your posture affects your brain chemistry more than most people realize. When you slouch, when you keep your head down, when you curl inward on yourself, you're sending very specific signals to your brain about your emotional state. Your brain interprets these physical positions as signs of defeat, sadness, or fear, and it responds by releasing stress hormones and reducing the production of feel-good neurotransmitters. But here's the amazing part: you can hack this system. When you stand tall, when you open your chest, when you literally take up space in the world, your brain gets the message that you're confident, capable, and ready to take on challenges. This isn't just positive thinking, this is biochemistry. Your posture directly influences the production of testosterone, cortisol, dopamine, and serotonin. The simple act of changing how you hold your body can change how you feel within minutes. This connection between body and mind goes far deeper than most people realize. There's actually a hidden part of your brain called the insula that most people have never heard of. This remarkable structure is constantly mapping your entire body, monitoring every sensation, every muscle tension, every heartbeat. It's like having an internal GPS that's always tracking your physical and emotional state. When you smile, even if you force it, the insula interprets this as a sign of happiness and begins releasing the appropriate neurochemicals. When you breathe deeply and slowly, it recognizes this as a signal of safety and calm. But modern life is systematically destroying this mind-body connection. We sit hunched over computers for hours. We breathe shallow breaths, we maintain stress postures throughout the day, and then we wonder why we feel anxious and depressed. We're literally training our brains to exist in a state of chronic stress, without even realizing it. The gut-brain connection is another area where science is revealing mind-blowing insights. You have approximately 100 million nerve cells in your intestinal tract. That's more neurons than in your spinal cord. This second brain is in constant communication with your cranial brain through something called the vagus nerve. When people say they have a gut feeling about something, They're actually describing a real neurological phenomenon. Here's where it gets really interesting. Your gut is home to trillions of bacteria that have a direct impact on your mood, your energy levels, and your mental clarity. There are essentially two armies of bacteria living in your digestive system. The good guys, called bacteroidetes, work to protect your intestinal barrier and prevent toxic substances from entering your bloodstream. The bad guys, called firmicutes, can create inflammation when they gain the upper hand. When you're stressed, when you eat processed foods high in sugar, when you don't get enough fiber, you're feeding the bad bacteria and starving the good ones. This creates a cascade of inflammation that travels directly to your brain, contributing to anxiety, depression, and cognitive fog. But when you feed your gut the right foods, particularly fiber-rich vegetables and fermented foods, you're essentially fertilizing the good bacteria and creating a foundation for mental well-being. The implications of this are staggering. People who have changed their diet and focused on gut health have seen dramatic improvements in their anxiety and depression levels without any other interventions. We're talking about individuals who were struggling with mental health issues for years, and simply by changing what they ate, they experienced profound shifts in their emotional state. Exercise plays a crucial role in this transformation, but not in the way most people think. Yes, physical activity releases endorphins and helps manage stress, but the real magic happens at the cellular level. When you engage in aerobic exercise, your brain begins producing substances called neurotrophins. Think of these as fertilizer for your brain cells. Just as you might fertilize your garden to help plants grow, neurotrophins help your brain generate new neurons and form new neural connections. One of the most important neurotrophins is called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. When you exercise regularly, your brain produces more BDNF, which literally helps you grow new brain cells and improve your cognitive function. This isn't metaphorical. Your brain actually becomes more intelligent, more creative, and more resilient when you move your body regularly. But here's what's really exciting. You don't need to become a marathon runner to get these benefits. Consistent, moderate exercise is far more powerful than occasional intense workouts. A 30-minute walk in nature can trigger the release of multiple neurochemicals that improve your mood, boost your immune system, and enhance your mental clarity. When you combine movement with time in nature, you're essentially giving your brain a cocktail of healing compounds. Sleep is perhaps the most undervalued tool for mental and physical health. During sleep, your brain activates genes that prevent cancerous mutations. Your parasympathetic nervous system kicks into high gear, repairing tissue and consolidating memories. Growth hormone is released, helping your body recover and regenerate. Most importantly, your brain clears out toxic waste, products that accumulate during waking hours. But modern life is systematically destroying our sleep quality. The blue light from our devices suppresses melatonin production, keeping us artificially alert when we should be winding down. We eat large meals close to bedtime, forcing our digestive system to work when it should be resting. We bring our worries and stresses to bed, activating our sympathetic nervous system when we need to be in parasympathetic mode. The solution isn't complicated, but it requires discipline. No screens after 9 p.m. Light dinners eaten at least 3 hours before bedtime. A gratitude practice before sleep that helps shift your brain into a positive state. When you go to bed worried or stressed, your brain spends the night reinforcing those negative neural pathways. When you go to bed grateful and peaceful, you're literally programming your subconscious mind for well-being. Stress management is where most people get it completely wrong. They try to fight their negative thoughts, to push them away, to convince themselves not to worry. But this approach actually strengthens the neural pathways associated with anxiety and stress. It's like trying to stop thinking about a pink elephant. The harder you try, the more prominent the thought becomes. The secret is redirection, not resistance. When you notice your mind spinning with worry or negative thoughts, don't fight them. Instead, gently redirect your attention to something immediate and present: your breath, the sensation of your feet on the ground, the sounds around you. This isn't about positive thinking, it's about training your attention like you would train a muscle. Neuroscience has identified specific brain networks that correspond to different states of mind. When you're distracted, worried, or ruminating, you're operating in what's called the default mode network. This network is associated with depression, anxiety, and poor social relationships. But when you focus your attention on the present moment, you activate the central executive network, which is linked to better health, improved relationships, and enhanced cognitive function. The key is consistent practice. Just as you wouldn't expect to get physically fit by going to the gym once a month, you can't expect to develop attentional control without regular mental training. Even 5 minutes of focused breathing or meditation per day can begin to rewire your brain within weeks. The relationship between stress and aging is one of the most sobering aspects of modern health science. Chronic stress doesn't just make you feel bad. It literally accelerates the aging process at the cellular level. When you're under constant stress, your body produces excessive amounts of cortisol, which breaks down muscle tissue, suppresses immune function, and damages brain cells. But here's the terrifying part. Chronic stress also increases the production of a neurotransmitter called glutamate. When high levels of cortisol combine with high levels of glutamate in the brain, they create a perfect storm for neuronal death. The combination causes massive calcium influx into brain cells, which activates genes responsible for cellular suicide. Chronic stress literally kills brain cells. The good news is that the opposite is also true. When you're in a state of enthusiasm, motivation, and joy, your brain produces stem cells that become new neurons. You literally become more intelligent, more creative, and more capable when you maintain positive emotional states. This isn't wishful thinking. This is documented neuroscience. The immune system connection to mental health is another area where we're discovering profound insights. When you're chronically stressed or depressed, your immune system becomes dysregulated. You become more susceptible to infections, autoimmune disorders, and inflammatory conditions. But when you implement practices that support mental well-being, meditation, exercise, proper sleep, social connection, your immune system becomes more robust and efficient. One of the most practical applications of this knowledge involves understanding your body's natural rhythms. Most people fight against their biology instead of working with it. They consume caffeine late in the day, disrupting their sleep cycles. They eat their largest meals when their digestive system is least active. They try to be productive during their natural energy lows and rest during their peak performance hours. Learning to align your daily activities with your natural circadian rhythms can dramatically improve your energy levels, mood, and cognitive function. This means exposing yourself to bright light in the morning, avoiding artificial light in the evening, eating your largest meal when your digestive fire is strongest, and scheduling demanding tasks during your natural peak hours. The social connection aspect of health is perhaps the most underestimated factor in longevity and well-being. Studies show that social isolation has a health impact equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes per day. Conversely, people with strong social connections live longer, have better immune function, and are more resilient to stress and disease. But not all social connection is created equal. Surface-level interactions, while pleasant, don't provide the deep neurochemical benefits of authentic relationships. The kind of connection that impacts health involves vulnerability, empathy, and genuine care for another person's well-being. When you experience this type of connection, your brain releases oxytocin, which reduces stress hormones and promotes healing. The nutrition aspect goes far beyond just eating healthy foods. The timing of when you eat can be as important as what you eat. Your digestive system has its own circadian rhythm, and eating late at night disrupts this natural cycle. When you eat, when your body isn't prepared to digest food efficiently, you create inflammation and stress that impacts your mental state. Intermittent fasting has gained popularity not just for weight loss, but for its profound effects on brain health. When you give your digestive system regular breaks, your body can focus energy on repair and regeneration. This includes the production of new brain cells and the clearing of cellular waste products that contribute to cognitive decline. The role of purpose and meaning in health cannot be overstated. People who have a strong sense of purpose live longer, have better cognitive function, and are more resilient to stress and disease. This isn't about having a grand mission to change the world. It's about feeling that your daily activities matter, that you're contributing something valuable, that your existence has significance. When you lack purpose, When you feel disconnected from meaning, your brain interprets this as a threat to survival. Stress hormones increase, immune function decreases, and you become more susceptible to both mental and physical illness. But when you feel aligned with your values and engaged in meaningful activities, your entire physiology shifts toward health and vitality. The key insight that ties all of this together is that health is not the absence of disease, it's the presence of vitality. It's not enough to simply avoid illness. True wellness involves actively cultivating the conditions that allow your body and mind to thrive. This requires understanding that you are not a victim of your genetics, your circumstances, or your past experiences. You are a co-creator of your health, and the tools for transformation are more accessible than you might think. The secret to health in 2025 isn't found in the latest supplement or trending diet. It's found in remembering what it means to be human, to move your body regularly, to connect authentically with others, to spend time in nature, to nourish yourself with real food, to get adequate rest, and to engage in activities that feel meaningful and fulfilling. These aren't revolutionary concepts, they're fundamental human needs that modern life has caused us to forget. But here's what makes this moment in history so exciting. We now have the scientific understanding to explain why these simple practices are so powerful. We can measure their effects on brain chemistry, immune function, and genetic expression. We can see how they literally change the structure and function of our brains. This knowledge empowers us to make choices based on evidence rather than hope. The transformation begins with a single decision, the decision to prioritize your well-being, not as a luxury but as a necessity. When you understand that your mental state affects your physical health, that your physical practices influence your mental state, and that your relationships and environment play crucial roles in both, you begin to see health as a comprehensive, integrated approach to living. The beautiful truth is that small, consistent changes compound over time. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. Start with one practice. Maybe it's a 5-minute morning meditation, a daily walk in nature, or simply going to bed without screens. As this becomes habitual, add another practice. Over time, these small changes create a foundation of wellness that becomes self-reinforcing. Your health is not something that happens to you, it's something you actively create through countless daily choices. And the science is clear: when you align these choices with your biology, when you honor your fundamental human needs, when you treat your body and mind as the integrated system they are, transformation becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Let's dive deeper into the practical applications of this knowledge, because understanding the science is only half the battle. Implementation is where real transformation occurs. One of the most powerful yet overlooked aspects of health optimization involves the concept of hormetic stress, the idea that small controlled stressors actually make your body stronger and more resilient. Cold exposure is a perfect example of hormetic stress. When you expose your body to cold water for short periods, you trigger a cascade of beneficial physiological responses. Your sympathetic nervous system activates, releasing norepinephrine, which acts as both a neurotransmitter and a hormone. This compound doesn't just help you cope with the cold, it also reduces inflammation throughout your body, improves focus and alertness, and can even help combat depression. The key is the controlled nature of the stress. A 2 to 3 minute cold shower or a brief ice bath creates just enough challenge to activate your body's adaptive mechanisms without overwhelming your system. People who practice regular cold exposure report improved mood, increased energy, better sleep quality, and enhanced immune function. The cold literally teaches your nervous system to become more resilient to all forms of stress. Heat exposure works through similar mechanisms, but targets different physiological pathways. Regular sauna use has been shown to reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease, improve cognitive function, and even extend lifespan. When you expose your body to heat stress, you activate heat shock proteins, which help repair damaged cellular components and protect against neurodegenerative diseases. The Finnish population, which has the highest sauna usage rates in the world, also has some of the most compelling longevity statistics. Men who use saunas 4 to 7 times per week have a 40% lower risk of dying from cardiovascular disease, compared to those who use saunas once per week. The mechanism involves improved circulation, reduced inflammation, and enhanced cardiovascular function. But perhaps even more important than these specific interventions is understanding the role of variability in human health. Your body thrives on controlled challenges and changes. Modern life tends to be monotonous. We wake up at the same time, eat the same foods, sit in the same positions, experience the same temperature ranges, and follow predictable routines day after day. This lack of variability actually weakens our adaptive capacity. Ancient humans faced constant variability in food availability, temperature, physical demands, and social situations. This variability kept their physiological systems robust and adaptable. We can recreate some of this beneficial variability through intentional practices. Varying your sleep and wake times slightly occasionally, skipping meals, changing your exercise routines, exposing yourself to different temperatures, and even taking different routes to familiar destinations all help maintain your body's adaptive flexibility. The concept of biological age versus chronological age is becoming increasingly relevant as we understand more about cellular health. Your chronological age is simply how many years you've been alive, but your biological age reflects how well your cells and organs are functioning. Some people have a biological age that's significantly younger than their chronological age, while others are aging faster than their years would suggest. Telomeres, the protective caps on the ends of chromosomes, serve as one measure of biological aging. Every time a cell divides, telomeres get slightly shorter. When they become too short, the cell can no longer divide and becomes senescent or dies. However, an enzyme called telomerase can actually rebuild telomeres, effectively slowing or even reversing cellular aging. The fascinating discovery is that lifestyle factors directly influence telomerase activity. Chronic stress, poor diet, lack of exercise, and social isolation all suppress telomerase and accelerate telomere shortening. Conversely, meditation, regular exercise, healthy nutrition, adequate sleep, and strong social connections all boost telomerase activity and help maintain telomere length. This means that the choices you make today aren't just affecting how you feel. Right now, they're literally determining how fast you age at the cellular level. A person who consistently practices healthy lifestyle habits can have a biological age that's 10-15 years younger than their chronological age. The implications are staggering. You have significant control over your aging process. The microbiome's influence on health extends far beyond digestion and mood. Recent research has revealed that the bacteria in your gut actually influence gene expression throughout your body. Certain beneficial bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids that can turn on genes associated with longevity and turn off genes associated with inflammation and disease. Your microbiome also plays a crucial role in training your immune system. About 70% of your immune system is located in your gut, where it's constantly interacting with the trillions of microorganisms that call your intestinal tract home. A diverse, healthy microbiome teaches your immune system to distinguish between helpful and harmful substances, reducing the risk of autoimmune disorders and allergies. The modern diet and lifestyle are systematically destroying microbiome diversity. Processed foods, artificial sweeteners, antibiotics, and chronic stress all reduce the variety and number of beneficial bacteria in your gut. This loss of microbial diversity is linked to increases in allergies, autoimmune diseases, mental health disorders, and metabolic dysfunction. Rebuilding a healthy microbiome requires more than just taking probiotics. While beneficial bacteria supplements can be helpful, they're most effective when combined with prebiotic foods that feed the good bacteria. Fiber-rich vegetables, fermented foods, and resistant starches provide the fuel that beneficial bacteria need to thrive and multiply. The timing of when you eat these foods also matters. Your microbiome has its own circadian rhythm, with different bacterial populations being more active at different times of day. Eating a diverse range of plant foods throughout the day helps support this natural rhythm and maintains microbial balance. Breathing, something we do automatically without thinking, is actually one of the most powerful tools for influencing your physiological state. Most people breathe in a way that keeps their nervous system in a state of mild stress activation. Shallow, rapid breathing from the chest signals to your brain that you might be in danger, maintaining low-level anxiety and tension. Proper breathing involves the diaphragm, the large muscle that sits beneath your lungs. When you breathe deeply into your belly, the diaphragm moves down, creating space for your lungs to fully expand. This type of breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, signaling safety and calm to your brain. But breathing techniques can do much more than just promote relaxation. Specific breathing patterns can increase energy, improve focus, reduce pain, and even influence immune function. The Wim Hof breathing method, for example, involves cycles of rapid breathing followed by breath retention. This technique can actually allow people to consciously influence their immune response and increase their tolerance to cold and stress. Box breathing, used by Navy SEALs and other elite performers, involves breathing in for 4 counts, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, and holding empty for 4. This pattern optimizes the balance between your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, promoting both alertness and calm. The 478 breathing technique, popularized by Dr. Andrew Weil, involves inhaling for 4 counts, holding for 7, and exhaling for 8. This pattern is particularly effective for reducing anxiety and promoting sleep, because the extended exhale strongly activates the parasympathetic nervous system. What makes these techniques so powerful is their accessibility. You don't need any equipment, special training, or specific environment. You can use breathing to shift your physiological state within minutes, anywhere, anytime. It's perhaps the most practical tool for health optimization that exists. The role of light in human health is far more complex and important than most people realize. Your circadian rhythm, the internal clock that regulates sleep hormone production, body temperature, and numerous other physiological processes, is primarily controlled by light exposure. The timing, intensity, and color of light you're exposed to throughout the day directly influences your health. Morning light exposure is crucial for setting your circadian clock. Within the first hour of waking, getting 10–30 minutes of bright light, preferably from sunlight, helps synchronize your internal rhythm and improves sleep quality later that night. This morning light exposure also triggers the release of cortisol at the appropriate time, giving you natural energy and alertness. Evening light exposure has the opposite effect. Blue light from screens, LED bulbs, and fluorescent lights suppresses melatonin production and delays your circadian clock. This is why using devices late at night makes it harder to fall asleep and reduces sleep quality. The solution isn't necessarily avoiding all artificial light, but being strategic about the type and timing of light exposure. Red light therapy is emerging as a powerful tool for cellular health. Red and near-infrared light wavelengths can penetrate deep into tissues and stimulate mitochondrial function, the powerhouses of your cells. This can improve wound healing, reduce inflammation, enhance muscle recovery, and even improve cognitive function. The seasonal variation in light exposure also affects health in profound ways. Seasonal affective disorder is just the most obvious example of how changes in light exposure can impact mood and energy. But even people who don't experience clinical depression often notice changes in their energy, appetite, and motivation as daylight hours change throughout the year. Understanding and working with these natural rhythms, rather than fighting against them, can significantly improve your well-being. This might mean adjusting your sleep schedule slightly with the seasons, spending more time outdoors during winter months, or using light therapy devices to compensate for reduced natural light exposure. The concept of neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to reorganize and form new neural connections throughout life, is perhaps one of the most hopeful discoveries in modern neuroscience. For decades, scientists believed that brain development was largely complete by early adulthood, and that cognitive decline with aging was inevitable. We now know that both assumptions are false. Your brain continues to generate new neurons throughout your entire life, particularly in the hippocampus, the region associated with learning and memory. The rate of neurogenesis, the creation of new brain cells, is influenced by your lifestyle choices. Exercise, learning new skills, social interaction, and novel experiences all promote the growth of new neurons and the formation of new neural pathways. Conversely, chronic stress, social isolation, lack of mental stimulation, and poor lifestyle choices can actually shrink brain regions and accelerate cognitive decline. The choice is literally in your hands. You can either support your brain's natural capacity for growth and adaptation, or you can inadvertently contribute to its deterioration. One of the most effective ways to promote neuroplasticity is through learning. But not just any kind of learning. Your brain responds best to challenges that are slightly outside your current comfort zone. Learning a new language, musical instrument, or complex skill forces your brain to create new neural pathways and strengthens existing ones. Physical exercise is equally important for brain health. Aerobic exercise increases the production of BDNF and other growth factors that support neuroplasticity. Resistance training has been shown to improve executive function and memory. Even simple activities like walking, especially in nature, can enhance cognitive performance and creativity. The social aspect of brain health cannot be overstated. Humans are fundamentally social creatures, and our brains are wired for connection. Loneliness and social isolation create chronic stress that damages brain tissue and impairs cognitive function. Conversely, meaningful social relationships provide cognitive stimulation, emotional support, and purpose, all of which support brain health. But quality matters more than quantity when it comes to relationships. Having a few deep, meaningful connections is more beneficial for brain health than having many superficial relationships. The key characteristics of brain-healthy relationships include mutual support, shared activities, intellectual stimulation, and emotional intimacy. Mental training through meditation and mindfulness practices is like going to the gym for your brain. Regular meditation literally changes brain structure, increasing gray matter in regions associated with attention, emotional regulation, and self-awareness, while reducing activity in the default mode network associated with rumination and anxiety. Different types of meditation produce different benefits. Focused attention meditation, where you concentrate on a single object like your breath, strengthens your ability to sustain attention and resist distraction. Open monitoring meditation, where you observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment, improves emotional regulation and self-awareness. Loving kindness meditation, where you cultivate feelings of compassion and goodwill, enhances empathy and social connection. The beauty of meditation is that benefits begin to appear within weeks of regular practice. Even 10-15 minutes of daily meditation can produce measurable changes in brain structure and function. The key is consistency rather than duration. Regular short sessions are more beneficial than occasional long ones. Understanding the role of inflammation in health and disease is crucial for anyone serious about optimizing their well-being. Acute inflammation is a natural and necessary response to injury or infection. It helps your body heal and fight off threats. But chronic low-grade inflammation is a different story entirely. This type of inflammation, often called inflammaging, is at the root of most age-related diseases, including heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and neurodegenerative disorders. The modern lifestyle promotes chronic inflammation through multiple pathways. Processed foods, particularly those high in sugar and trans fats, trigger inflammatory responses. Chronic stress elevates cortisol and other stress hormones that promote inflammation. Lack of sleep, sedentary behavior, social isolation, and exposure to environmental toxins all contribute to the inflammatory burden. The good news is that lifestyle interventions can dramatically reduce inflammation. An anti-inflammatory diet, rich in colorful vegetables, fruits, fatty fish, nuts, and seeds, provides antioxidants and omega-3 fatty acids that actively combat inflammation. Regular exercise has powerful anti-inflammatory effects, as does adequate sleep and stress management. Certain supplements can also help reduce inflammation, though food sources are generally preferable. Curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, has potent anti-inflammatory properties. Omega-3 fatty acids from fish oil or algae sources help balance the inflammatory response. Vitamin D, which most people are deficient in, plays crucial roles in immune function and inflammation regulation. But perhaps the most overlooked aspect of inflammation reduction is the power of social connection and purpose. People who feel connected to others and engaged in meaningful activities have lower levels of inflammatory markers than those who feel isolated or purposeless. This suggests that addressing the psychological and social aspects of health is just as important as the physical interventions. The emerging field of chronobiology. The study of biological rhythms is revealing just how important timing is for optimal health. Every cell in your body contains molecular clocks that oscillate on roughly 24-hour cycles. These cellular clocks are coordinated by a master clock in your brain that responds primarily to light and darkness. When your daily activities are aligned with your natural circadian rhythms, your body functions optimally. Hormones are released at the right times, body temperature fluctuates appropriately, and cellular repair processes occur when they're supposed to. But when your rhythms are disrupted through shift work, jet lag, late-night screen time, or irregular meal timing, your health suffers. Meal timing is particularly important for metabolic health. Your body's ability to process glucose and regulate insulin varies dramatically throughout the day. Eating large meals late at night when your metabolic machinery is winding down promotes weight gain and increases the risk of diabetes. Conversely, eating your largest meal earlier in the day when your metabolism is most active supports healthy weight and blood sugar regulation. The practice of time-restricted eating, where you consume all your calories within a specific window each day, leverages these natural rhythms to improve metabolic health. Most people benefit from eating within a 10-12 hour window, such as 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., and fasting for the remaining 12-14 hours. This gives your digestive system a break and allows cellular cleanup processes to occur. Exercise timing also matters. Your body temperature, hormone levels, and perceived exertion all vary throughout the day, affecting your performance and recovery. Most people perform best in late afternoon or early evening when body temperature is highest and perceived exertion is lowest. However, exercising at any time is better than not exercising at all. The secret to health in 2025 is understanding that you are not a victim of your genetics, your past, or your circumstances. You are a dynamic, adaptable organism with incredible capacity for healing, growth, and transformation. Every choice you make, what you eat, how you move, how you breathe when you sleep, who you spend time with, what you focus your attention on is either supporting your vitality or undermining it. The scientific revolution in health isn't coming from new drugs or technologies, though those have their place. It's coming from a deeper understanding of what it means to be human and how to create conditions that allow our natural healing and adaptive capacities to flourish. The tools for transformation are remarkably simple and accessible, but they require commitment, consistency, and a willingness to prioritize your well-being. The choice is yours. You can continue living as if health is something that happens to you, or you can step into the role of active creator of your own vitality. The science is clear, the tools are available, and the potential for transformation is limitless. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make today.